speak. Anandi, Amanda Garoy, is going to talk to us about stories of Krishna. She is familiar to us by now, but for those who don't know, Anandi lived in India for 7 years, studying dance, percussion, language, culture, and religion. She has taught theater and dance in India, San Francisco, and Taos, and has adapted a number of folk tales from around the world for the stage. And she loves working with kids, teaching dance, theater, and folk arts, and milking cows as she sings to them as she milks them. I have observed this. It's beautiful. Please welcome our beautiful Anandi. Yay. Thank you. Maybe closer. Maybe a little closer. Yeah, closer. Closer. She's pretty. Yeah. People want to look at her. Yes.
Nice to be here. See everybody. Give me a big. So we're going to talk about Krishna today, and I was so excited to get into these stories of Krishna. And as I was thinking, let me just get into these texts that I love and start rereading these stories, I found myself needing to follow my cows out to the field. And I was like, okay, this is really how I'm going to get into Krishna. I'm not going to get into it in a book. I'm going to get into it in the field. So literally in the field of Krishna, which is actually in Sanskrit, that word for field is kshetra. And that field where Krishna roams with the cows is also this field of existence. So this field of our reality here is that kshetra. So one of his most famous places where the most famous teachings that Krishna is known for, one of the most central texts is the Bhagavad Gita. And that teaching takes place on a field. It's not a field with idyllic cows roaming, it's a battlefield. Kurukshetra, the field of the battles between good, the various forces of good and evil, the pulls that happen on our psyche and between us in this field of existence. So that's what that Kurukshetra stands for. So one of the most famous teachings that Krishna gives is that Bhagavad Gita, and it's given there on the field. So fields are very important for Krishna. And as I was walking out to get my cows, I was remembering there's a lot of wonderful poetry as well. So there are several texts that are really important for the Vaishnava tradition that the worship and love of Krishna comes out of. We've been talking about the various avatars of Vishnu, and so we've kind of gone through quite a few of them over the last few talks. Krishna is probably the one with the most literature, the most stories, the most depth of kind of like folklore and Puranic storytelling traditions that around it. As far as the avatars of Vishnu, of course, Rama has a whole lot. So the two epic poems of India, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, each deal with one of the avatars of Vishnu. Ramayana is about Ram. Mahabharata features Krishna, but that's not the only place that we hear his stories. There's actually an appendix to the Mahabharata, to the great epic poem, and that's called the Harivamsa, which is basically, like some say, it's like the final chapter, and it gives a prequel kind of to the Krishna of the Mahabharata, which I think probably we'll get into the Mahabharata as a story and talk about Krishna's work and story there in a different day. But we're going to talk today, actually, because there's so many stories about Krishna. I will get several talks on Krishna, Leelas, or Leela means divine play. Sometimes those are called the pastimes, the divine stories, and just roamings and frolickings and wonderful things that Krishna did when incarnated here on the earth. So we're going to just really talk about his birth, early life today. And some of those stories, but cows are involved, so don't look. So Krishna is, when we talk about the bhakti tradition, which is the tradition of devotion in Hinduism, Krishna is always right up there when we talk about bhakti. The earlier Veda, tradition of the Vedas, which of course this is an outgrowth of, is a lot about ritualistic worship. So you'll find fire pujas and a lot of the things we've talked about previously around sages and ancient Vedic Puranic stories that are this kind of these later avatars, Ram and Krishna. They're much more about the bhakti or devotion tradition rather than this ritualized Vedic tradition of worship in early Hinduism. So this is more like having a really personal relationship with God that doesn't go through a priest, that doesn't necessarily go through a really set out ritual that you have to follow. You don't have to be a certain caste, you don't have to be gender, you don't have to do it at a certain time, and it's not really so codified. It's just all about deeply loving God in this really personal way. And so Krishna really is a focus for that kind of bhakti. In whatever way it appeals to the devotee. So Krishna in his young life, as a young man, not as a baby, but as like a young teenager, early adult, was someone who was so beautiful, physically beautiful, that not just the young women of Vrindavan, where he was a young cowherd, but everyone was in love with him. And so he kind of, as humans, as life forms, right? Some of our strongest urges are the urges that are given to us by biology. So it's that urge to continue life. So the sexual urge, the romantic urge, but then there's also the urge to take care of our offspring. So Mother Yashoda, who was his foster mother, got to raise Krishna from his birth until he became older and went on to do his own life separately. But her love for Krishna as a mother to a child is another way that bhakti was, that love was kind of drawn out of a human being by the divine. So the divine takes this form that appeals to our emotions as a way to connect. So the mother, that like really strong mothering, loving urge was completely taken to the utmost ultimate degree for Yashoda. So now as devotees, as spiritual aspirants or practitioners, we can, if that mothering vibe appeals to us, we can have images or imaginings or relationships with Krishna, or the baby Krishna. And this feeling of like mothering, that opens our heart in this really beautiful way. So that can be the divine. If we are just like so absolutely enthralled with this beautiful, useful man, that can be the way that we approach Krishna as a young cowherd. If we, like the cowherd women of the village where he was raised, if we just think a little boy running around and getting into mischief is both so cute and so terrible at the same time, like it drives you, as both mothers or people who've been with young children know, they like you want to strangle them and you want to cuddle them and you're not sure which one to do. Krishna was very much that, and so that draws that feeling out of us, where it's like you're just overwhelmed by these people being so free. You can't control that playful spirit, and so the more we try to control it, the more it's just wants to be free. So maybe Krishna will appeal to that. Krishna was also like a beautiful friend. And so later in his life, in the Mahabharata and beyond, when he was a grown man and king, he had there's a lovely story about his friend Sudama, who was a young friend from the village who was a poor man. Krishna was a king. They meet up again eventually, and you see the power of their friendship. And so this idea of a loyal friend that's always be there for you, that's someone that you can trust and you can share your innermost self with. Krishna can be that. He was that for Arjuna, who's also the hero of the Mahabharata. And Krishna offered to be his charioteer. So as the charioteer in that Kurukshetra, the field of battle, that Arjuna had to take all his bravery and all of his faith, really, it took deep amount of bravery and a deep amount of faith to go out onto that field, do his duty, what he had been called on to do, which is a very difficult thing, to battle his family members. And it was a huge moral dilemma that he had. Eventually, he gets out there on the battlefield and he says, "Okay, I'm going to trust you, Krishna. You are holding the reins in my chariot." basically an allegory for the five senses. Krishna is holding those reins of the five forces, which are our senses, which take us here and there, take us off the path, run wild, go crazy. Instead of staying focused on using, we have to use this body and this incarnation for good, for whatever path we were called on to take. Use it, harness it, use what we've been given instead of like letting it take us here and there. So Krishna represents that higher consciousness that can help us to rein that in and direct it where it needs to go with all that force, all that wonderful force, sort of power and shakti that we have as human beings, that spiritual energy that we contain in these small bodies. So Krishna was a friend for Arjuna, that was the relationship. So Krishna represents that aspect of the divine that is very much incarnate with us in the body. We don't have to say no to anything. Whatever we're drawn to, he can be that for us in a very personal, intimate way. That is just like a portal to the heart. So Krishna is a little portal to the heart. And so a lot of the bhakti practice is about chanting. So I'm sure Sita was really deep in the bhakti when she was here. So those of you who practice chanting or singing practice, Jenny, like that kind of devotional singing that channel it through the heart, benefit of all beings, and just opening the heart and really like being in the heart center. It's really what that bhakti is about. So chanting to Krishna, the Maha Mantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Really simple, you don't have to think about it. Just repeating and repeating that. That is this heart opening mantra. So that is really the practice of bhakti. You don't have to know a whole lot intellectually, just get in the heart space, chant.
You want to lead us in a couple Hare Krishnas?
Sure. I can do that. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna had a magical birth. It was foretold long before he actually came onto the planet. His parents, his mother was a cousin she was in the royal family, in a place that was on the Yamuna River. That's the Gangaji plain, it's sort of north central India, where the Ganga flows through. The Yamuna is another river that starts right in Himalaya and also the two meet together in a place called Allahabad, which is Prayag. If you guys have heard of the Kumbh Mela, the big, huge spiritual gathering that happens every 12 years in India, and they rotate it to be tirthas or sacred spots along that. And that's what the spots. So the Yamuna comes together with the Ganga and also the Saraswati, which is a third river, the poetry vein, into the parts. That's a river that's an underground, a spiritual river. So she's not in this world, she's in the spirit world. So the three rivers come together there at Prayag. But a little north of there, you will find Mathura, Vrindavan, an area called Braj. And it has such a sweetness there in Vrindavan. Me and Rolly Baba have an ashram there. I've been there. And it's a very dusty place on the plains. The river flowing through. Vrinda means Tulsi is another word for Tulsi, the sacred holy basil plant. Vana is a forest. So Vrindavan means Tulsi forest. Forest of Tulsi and beautiful, there are green parrots that fly through. It's a beautiful place, and so many incredible pieces of poetry have been written in Sanskrit and lots of other Indian languages about beauty and just the idyllic world that Krishna lived in with the gopis, the cowherd ladies, along with his family. So Mathura was the main city there where the kings lived, and there was a king named Ugrasena. He had a son named Kamsa. Kamsa was the eldest son, so he was next on the throne. Krishna's father was a noble in his court, and his mother was a cousin of Kamsa. So they were all part of that court there. On their way home from their wedding, Kamsa, who was very quick to anger Incarnation, who had been previously born as a demon, so this guy had a very demonic ego, quick-tempered, violent, angry nature. So he was driving the chariot where his cousin, and in India cousins are like sisters, so, so his cousin and her husband, they just got married, they were returning to us. He hears it, and there's all this gold and jewelry from the dowry, right? So the father is there, very soft-spoken man, your father. He hears this voice coming out of this guy. As you fool, this woman that you're protecting, her 8th son is the one who's going to kill you. What are you doing? And so it comes up, out thinking, very quick to anger, pulls the sword, and he's about to just, and her father says, wait, what are you doing this for? Woman, it's not her fault. It's her wedding day. You're going to kill your cousin on her wedding day? Calm down. Look, she'll appease you. We will give you her sons, okay? You can do what you want with them. Make sure they don't kill you. Just let this young couple live. So finally comes in. He doesn't forget about this. He starts to think about it. He's sort of like stewing on this, wondering, gosh, she just killed Ben. This is bad for me. And of course, he's very worried about himself. He's a very ego-driven person. It's very, of course, we all want to survive, right? But he's just going over with him. So when she gives first birth to her son, of course, they give it over to the baby. Okay. It happens until they reach what's going to be her 8th child. So in order to save the child, so backstory, the earth has been burdened by all these demons, which of course is what happens in the incarnation. That's initial incarnates at times when the earth is heavily burdened by a lot of negativity. So the earth actually, in the form of a cow, goes to Brahma and says, I'm so burdened by the negativity on this planet that I can't hold it. Please help me. And it says, we have to go to Vishnu. So Shiva, Brahma, and the earth and the cow all appreciate Vishnu and say, please help us. It says, I already know what's happening. I'm going to be as Krishna. And in the meantime, all of you other gods, go down and populate my family members, the Yaju clan, with eminences of yourself. So all of his so all the Nanda, who's going to be his stepfather, and all of the Yadus who he's born into this whole clan, they're all young babies are born into that. That's fine. So and says he knows that it's the eighth child that is going to be the one that he incarnates as. So in the meantime, all these are or Krishna is going to be the eighth one, but before that, he needs to have a buddy. So he needs to have a brother. So they have to orchestrate how he's going to be able to have a brother, which is all of the previous children of his mother being killed. So his mother is pregnant, and everyone thinks that she miscarries, but actually what happens is Yoga Maya, who is the goddess, Durga, all the different forms of the goddess that we've talked about or that are in the Pantheon. Yoga Maya is one name for the goddess, which she brings the great illusion. So that which kind of deludes us is also the form of the goddess. So she both deludes in the sense that she gives us the sense that we're all separate, but really we're all one. But this beautiful creation, this multiple wonderfulness, that is also her doing. So she makes this immense and endless beauty that we're a part of. Well, that is all her. It's all one, and we're all one with her unified consciousness. At the same time, she also deludes us. So that's that name Maya. Maya means illusion. So Yoga Maya needs to play a role in all of this kind of intrigue and deception around Krishna's birth to get him to survive. Okay, so the seventh child is about to be born. Yoga Maya, at the direction of this tradition, Yoga Maya takes that baby from his mother's, Krishna's mother's womb, and puts it into the womb of Rohini. Rohini is the another wife of Deva, but she's in hiding with some kinsmen, good friends of theirs, on the other side of the Yamuna River. From the capital of Mathura is Gokula. Go means cow, so this is like the cow herd village of Gokula, and the headman of the village is named Nanda. So, because they're worried, he's killing their children, and they don't know what comes going to do. Everyone's kind of like fleeing and hiding from the other wives. He won't let these two get out of this. But the other wives have gone into hiding. So this baby goes into Rohini. So Rohini has a baby there in Nanda's household. That is Balaram. So Balaram is Krishna's elder brother, but nobody knows it's Krishna's elder brother. They think it's just his half brother born to his mother's son-in-law. So Balaram is there, and Balaram is actually an incarnation because Krishna, whenever Vishnu comes to earth, he needs all his whole with, like, he needs Lakshmi to come as consort. He needs all his other buddies. So Sheshnath, Anantashesha, is that serpent that Vishnu lays on in the ocean of cosmic, in between the times of dissolution, the end of the universe, when it dissolves and comes back again. There's a Krishna milk. Vishnu lies on the serpent. So that serpent actually incarnates as Balaram. And that serpent is like white or gray in color. So Balaram is light colored, like white or gray looking. Krishna is always, I love the description of Krishna's color. It's when the rain clouds come and the rain is just about to fall, but it hasn't broken yet, and the clouds are dark, like dark gray blue. It's this beautiful, like blue deep color. It's so potent with life force. Just you can feel that electricity. He's that cloud. And later in the story, when Krishna and Radha are separated, she's longing for him. She'll see a cloud and then just go into these states of bliss and moksha, like becoming one with Krishna by like seeing the rain cloud monsoon. So may those clouds come. Maybe y'all remember Krishna when we see it. So that energy, that color is Krishna. Okay, so Balaram is born. Now here comes the eighth child, and Kamsa is just freaks out. So worried, so keyed up that this child is going to kill him, that he imprisons the parents. Thinking of it, probably I'm gonna lose popularity if I kill him. Probably. So he imprisons them. Instead, he imprisons his father and takes over. Try to control the situation. Meanwhile, Nanda's wife, Yashoda, back in the village, where Rokini and cowherds, she's also there. And Yogamaya comes and becomes that baby that's so Durga, the goddess, the supreme goddess. To be born through her. And Krishna is going to be born through his mother in prison. So it's night. It's the monsoon season, midnight, and very dark. That's when Krishna's born, right at midnight. At the same time at midnight, the other side of the river, hit the Yogamaya is the other baby at the same time. In Nanda's village. She makes everybody fall asleep. She is that deluding power that deludes, that is illusion. So she makes the guards in the prison fall asleep. She makes everybody in Nanda's household fall asleep. Everybody, the whole village, everybody's two babies are born. And the parents know that they have to do something to save the baby's life. Suddenly, she takes the baby, just distract everyone. Baby in the rain, but the serpent, Sesha, comes, puts his hood. So there's one wonderful artwork. You see pictures of this baby. The hood is over the father, so like an umbrella. They get to the Yamuna River and she's totally swollen with waves because it's the monsoon. She's rocking at the banks. That's I have to get over to Nanda's village where I'm going to the baby. So at the Yamuna, there he was. There, Yashoda had a really long labor and she was exhausted. And she's okay, baby's born. Doesn't even know if it's a boy or not. So there's this little girl there, takes Krishna, takes her baby back. And as soon as he gets back, prison doors closed, shackles go back on, goes back to blood, the baby goes, awake, rushing. They run the whole concept, and it's the wee hours of the morning, and concept disheveled, drunk, passed out, like as kings, bad kings are wont. And guards, oh, it's the baby's been born, the baby's been born. And runs in there, open the prison doors, grabs the baby, and she said, please don't kill another one of my children. You've killed all 7 up to now. This is the baby. Look, it's a girl. What's she gonna do? Just in case, takes the baby, smashed it. The baby, but this is not a normal baby, right? This is the supreme goddess of the universe, so this is not a problem. She flies up, takes her divine form with 10 arms, a sword, a conch, a discus, huge weapons, flames, hair just flowing. She's riding a lion. She's in the air, totally fierce, and comes as, whoa, what's going on? She says, you fool, the baby that's going to kill you is safe somewhere else, and you're not going to escape this fate that she loves. Oh, and she also says, stop killing baby. Good advice. So comes a great. He's really scared by this vision. He lets the parents go. He's like, okay, I guess. I don't need to be holding you guys prison anymore. I don't want that woman coming back. And he goes, well, meanwhile, back in Anandi's village, there's two little boys there. Little Balaram, who's Brahma's son, and younger Krishna, who's being raised by Yashoda and Nanda as their own son. Vasudeva and Nanda are still, they're good friends. So when Nanda comes to aid truly to come, they kind of have a little conference. Says how are the boys, how's it going? And he says, they're good. I'm sorry, we've had so many children, but they've all been killed. Like, who knows what our fate is for us. Vasudeva says, be careful. You can't trust Kamsa. He knows there's a baby out there somewhere that's supposed to kill him. So please watch your back. Stay away from the capital. All possible. So he goes into his little kitchen to hide. Well, meanwhile, Kamsa's like, there's a baby out there somewhere. This isn't over. I'm still feeling all this anxiety. So he calls together all of his demonic warrior, advisors. Give them the bad demon advice. Says, what should I do? And they say, oh, we should kill all the children, just in case. Kill everybody who's 10 days old. So they hire all these demons to go out and try to find little babies. So they don't know where he is, right? They don't know which village along one of those villages, like, Tura, wherever. So these demons are looking for potential divine child, lots of power, wondering and wandering. The first one that Krishna encounters is the demoness by the name of Putana. And she kind of sniffed out the baby. Yeah. She knows she's not going to get in. She's correct. She did. And oh man, what's your baby? She goes and Krishna and what's going on? You should have said, milk coming in, milk coming in. Well, there's Krishna. So he's like, oh, no problem. Latches onto her nipple and starts to suck. What is it? Not only does he suck out, he sucks out the blood. And she's it's pretty giant. And she turns into her actual huge demonic and sort of trying to run away. He's attached to her boob, and they're running out of the village, and she finally falls down in this huge heap, the size of a massive building on the outskirts of the village with this little baby on top of her, and all the women are racing after them, oh my gosh, what's going on? This poor child. And then they find her dead, and he's just sitting there on the top, being little Krishna. Oh my gosh, what just happened? Meanwhile, Nanda comes home after having heard this advice, watch your back, and she's at the outskirts of the village, huge dead demoness, and he's well, how did you know? I guess this is real. So that's the first. Second demon that comes is in the form of a whirlwind. So there's always different demons that are coming to try to get baby Krishna. This whirlwind demon comes like a dust storm, huge dust, makes little babies. So it comes to the village and it swoops up little Krishna who's playing in the yard, and everything is dropped. You can see poor Yashoda, right? I mean, she has a divine child, and it's in the evening, and she gets to be with all day. Lucky Yashoda, but poor Yashoda. All of these things happen, and on top of it, he gets sick. But so this dust devil comes, picks up Krishna, and swoops him up into the center of the dust devil, and starts to spirit him away. And Yashoda frantically searching for her child everywhere, can't really see anything, out in the dark, she's searching, calling Krishna, and all the women are coming to try to help her find him. But meanwhile, Krishna becomes heavy, becomes extremely heavy, and the weight of him actually begins to pull on and choke the essence, the life essence of this demon, and chokes it out of the world and onto the. So again, this huge, this time a male demon. When the show the front, the sky clears, and everyone runs out and they find him. There he is on top of this other demon. What is on here? And they don't know who he is, and they're starting to put the pieces together. This is the child. But as in addition to these sort of negative experiences, amazing positives. And as he grows from being tiny baby to toddler, he starts to get really mischievous, get into trouble. So what they do in Braja is the men herd the cows. So they take the cows out to pasture, and I mean the boys, mostly the boys, take the cows out to pasture and bring them back in every day at what they call the cow dust hour, which I love because it actually, you know, that time in the evening when the light is really golden and the cows are coming back out of the field and their feet kick up the dust, and that dust like shimmers in this golden light. And it's really yeah. So that's what the men do. And the women, they take all that, they milk the cows, and then they take that all and they make wonderful products out of it, and they sell those across the river in Mathura. So they go back and forth on the boat. We'll get to Krishna's mischief on the boat in the next session. But so when he's really little, he always wanted to get at that foot yogurt and that milk that's like being stored in the clay pots in the cool house, you know, in different places getting processed and ready to sell. So all the women start to complain. They go to Yashoda and say, "Your boy is so mischievous. We don't know whether to like spank him or cuddle him. He's so cute and so mischievous. He comes around and steals our butter. He'll climb up. He'll find like something to climb on, and a box and a rock and something. Make steps and they hang the pots on the ceiling so that animals and Krishna doesn't get into them. But he always knows. They'll know like, oh, this one has butter, this one has yogurt, this is a sweet curd, this is this or that. But he'll know with his divine power and everything. Right? As a baby, that's what he's. But he'll go and he'll climb up and go just the best precious one, you know, that she doesn't want anything to get. And maybe he'll break it on the way down, or they'll find it half eaten and it's covered in butter. And who did it? And oh, not me, you know. So they come to, and she, you know, and Yashoda does it. She says, "Oh, I'm so sorry." So he causes problems at home too. One day she was had a pot of milk, or she's like at home multitasking. Pot of milk on the fire to boil to make some yogurt. She's at the same time churning some cream into butter, and he's trying to climb up on her lap, you know. So he's climbing up on her lap. She's got this, it's hot, you know. She's like, oh, with her side, like trying to get the cream, and milk's about to boil over, and like, okay, Krishna, just a minute, just sit down. So he gets mad. And while she goes to deal with the milk, you know, and blow on it and take it off the fire, but in the meantime, he's gotten into butter that she's trying to churn, and he's trying to get in the pot, so he takes a big mortar, breaks it, hits at the butter, and then, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble. So then he runs away and goes in and hides outside. And mother comes back, sees it's broken. In the meantime, he's found the pestle and he's climbing up on that to get the curds hanging into the next room. And mother comes in and says, Krishna, you're really in trouble. I was ready to like give him a good spanking. But then he starts to cry. And then she says, oh, Krishna, what am I going to do with you? Okay, I'm going to tie you. I'm going to tie you up. Okay, stay by me. I can't watch you all the time. She's trying to tie him up. He's divine. Who can tether the divine, you know? The rope is just like not long enough. And then she gets more rope and it's suddenly like still not quite long enough. Another like the rope, it's still not long enough. And somehow Krishna eventually says, okay, I'll allow my mother to tether. So this also is the way in which the divine allows those cords of love between the devotee and the divine. The divine through his or her just graceful, playful, unconditionally loving presence allowed the devotee to take him and bind him to themselves. So Yashoda binds him to the mortar. Okay, I'll tell more stories next time. That's the beginning.
Love that he is the rain coming. I didn't know that. Now I do. Look over there, answer prayers, rain comes. Your body so buckets to fill, rain comes. Nourish the ground, rumbling sound, rain comes. Smells so sweet. Breeze breaks the heat, rain comes. It's been so dry, blistering sky, days go by. Don't need a bell, crop sure in the field, days go by. Still buzz in the air, no gods seem to care, days go by. Cracks in the air, no signs on the earth, days go by. Our ancestors danced and sang for the rain to fall. Forgotten those ways and words, there is no way home. Drought fills the land, fertile ground, desert sand. So precious, please don't forget that spirit of the rain. Look over there, answer prayer, rain comes. Your body so buggers to rain comes. Here's the rumbling sound, rain comes. Smells so sweet, breeze breaks the heat, rain comes. Come on, rain, come on. Smell it, you can feel it. Just tune into it and bite it. Bite it. And we'll sing our love song together. The words are up there. Now there is love on earth and it has begun with thee. Now there is love on earth that was meant to be. With all relations, loved ones all are we. Now I walk with my family in perfect harmony. Love has begun with me, and this is the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in love eternally. Now there is no moment, and it has begun with me. We are the light, the love, and the presence. Wherever we are, love is. All is well. And there's snacks up in the kitchen. Yay! Thank you, Anandi. Thank you, friends. Glad y'all made it on Zoom.